Sham Mesechta Ma'aser Sheni, the Vav Omer Aleph. The Nishmas get the Basar Mashchaim Yitzchak, Yeshchaim Abraham Yitzchak. The Gemara is going to discuss today, it's a big sugya about the value of the money that's used to be paid to the Ma'aser Sheni. How do you calculate according to the value in the place where you paid it? Do you use that valuation, or do you use a valuation of the money itself, where it's in its original location? Or do you go Bas Yushalayim? What's the value of the money in Yushalayim? That's a complicated sugya here. It's also in Bamitzia. And let's see how the Yushalmi learns this Gemara slowly. So the Gemara. On the top of the Yomid. Hoyelei Moye Shel Disinus. Moye Shel Disinus, let's try first with the Rashirila. It's a little bit shorter. It's a little bit easier to understand, I think, to get just the basic. Mahu. What's the din with the money of the sinus? So B'Yankiv Ba'Zavdi B'Shem Bavu Mechalen Kederech Shehein Yofen Eitzel Hatrumosa. This money is money which is a malchus, that they said that the money is no longer in currency. We don't like this money anymore. And the value is still, there has a value, but it doesn't have a clear value. So you use the value that the money changer has. We go into money changer. We don't have it so much here in the United States, but in Europe and other places, they have money changers. What they do is have all kinds of different currencies. And the money changer, the shulchani, as known in the Lashon HaGemara, he decides, he has a value, and he gives you the value. You have an Etzisol, you have money changers, and you have this market, that market, above board, back market. So you use the value that the Tumasa has. Dr. Rashirila, Disinus, Mahu, Shem Shultan, Disinus is the name of a government. Shupaslu Matbeyo, they said that this coin is no longer fit to be in currency. Ava ain by sakana. It doesn't have a sakana, meaning they didn't say that if you're going to use it, there's going to be some kind of a penalty or some type of a arrest, a criminal arrest or whatever it's going to be. There's no sakana to use the coin, but they did take it out of circulation, official circulation, but it has a value. Why? Why is he saying that? Because the Gemara said before, on the bottom, if he has money, which is sakana to have it, also that he says that has to go to Yamamelech. So that's already enough complication with sakana. But here he's pointing out this was taken out by the government, but they didn't say that it's a criminal to have it, right? It's not a sakana. So what's the halacha? Dr. Rashid, you could use this money to be mechalal the Ma'aser Sheni pays that you have. What price are you going to use? It's not any price. You have to have a price. So he says, Zot B'Yankiv Ba'Zivdi Kederech Shein Yofen Eitza Trumasa. Use the value of Trumasa. The Oisoi Ulai Mekablan. This Trumasa is the Shulchan. We saw that in the previous Amid. Trumasa is the Shulchan. Ulai Mekablan. I don't understand what he means. Ulai Mekablan. Use the value that the money changers have. Money changers usually have prices because that's their job. Their job is to price everything. So they priced it and use that job. So they use that price. So what does it mean? Ulai Mekablan. Maybe he's going to be Mekablan. Or the Ordinish. If he doesn't give you a price, then he's a market maker. Like I have in stocks, he's a market maker. He always makes the price. That's his geschäft. The Gemara continues. This is verstanden. Bikish lo etzion mechalon kedereh shu mechalon alei. What does that mean? What do the words mean? Dr. Rashid, in Bikish lo etzion u'mokim shemekablu moisa. Now, you have this currency for mois destinus, and you use this money to exchange it for the Paris. Now it has the kedusha of the Paris. And Bikish lo etzion, and now you want to use the money to buy payers. Where are you going to use the payer? Where are you going to use it? Now, you can only use it in Yerushalayim because that's where you have to. That's what you have to do with the money of Ma'aser Sheni. You have to spend the money in Yerushalayim. So he says here, only in a place where they're going to accept it. It's not acceptable all over because it's really something which the government said it's no longer in circulation. But some people use it nevertheless. So you could be mechal this money al kesev yosef. This means he's not buying payers with it. He's exchanging money for money. Now we saw that Rambam's opinion is that you can exchange money for money. It's not everybody holds like that. The Rebbe is not accepting that. He says he can't be mechal money on payers and money on money. But here you see the Gemara holds at least like the Rash because the Rash is the one that teaches the Gemara. Bikish lo hitzion, meaning he already used this mois destinas, and now bikish lo hitzion. He doesn't say that he wants to buy payers. He says you want to buy money with it. You want to exchange it for other money, not necessarily in Yerushalayim, wherever they're going to be makabel this money, only in certain places. So he wants to exchange the money. That's what he had when he was machal on the payers. Now he wants to get rid of this, so he's going to exchange it further, money on money, wherever they're going to be makabel it. So what value does he have to use? Now he's using kesef hayotzeh. Use the money that you will find. Now he's using kesef hayotzeh. This is regular money that has an official value. Kesef hayotzeh. Kederech shu mechalel aleim. Kloima. Kederech shu mechalel aleim. That's the lashon haGemara. Kederech shu mechalel aleim. Taich the Rasirilla, Kloimer, Chilul HaPeir Shovim Meya Al Meya Destinas Betreya. He goes and exchanges the money, Meya Al Meya. He has 100 kesef, regular kesef, which is in Yerushalayim, and he has now 100 destinas Betreya, where let's say he took this money in Treya and he exchanged it in Treya. He redeemed the payers in Tveya on the money from the Stinas. V'shavim b'mokim shemekabel noisai. In this place where they accept the Sinas currency, going, let's say that wasn't supported, money v'chetzi. There it has a value, a higher value. It has a value of 100.5 money. Ein oimim ki'ibin shit is bem kedusha. We bow this mois the Sinas. Already has the kedusha. That he has to now use enough mois desinas to be able to exchange the money from desinas on kesef hayotzeh, which is the regular kesef with ksata kesef biyotcha, and he also has to now buy money v'chetzi. Ela b'moneh b'vatzagi. It's enough with a money because originally he used a money of desinas, even though now kesef hayotzeh would be worth had to use the regular money. It would be money v'chetzi. He's not obligated to do that, and he only has to use a money, and that's it. Kederech. That's the lashon haGemara shu mechal aleim. What does that mean? K'moy sheshavim u'mokum shechil d'haini b'tveya. In other words, he took the money in Tveya, this is the Sinus money, and there it was worth meya money. That's the value that he has to use when he wants to now take kesef hayotzeh. He only has to take meya money, not money v'chetzi. That's how Rashi understands the first part of the Gemara. Look the Gemara weiter. Steht in the Mishnah. We'll come back to the Pnei Moshe after we learn a little bit the Gemara. You can't use a medbeya. This steht in the Mishnah. Let's go back to the Mishnah. You make a pigeon of the money. It has to be tzata kesef biyotcha. The last line in Amud Aleph Amud Aleph. You can't use Madbeya Sheni Yoitze. Teich the Rash Sarila Doten. Madbeya Sheni Yoitze. Hainu Madbeya Shenifsal. You can't use Madbeya Shenifsal. B'tanya b'tesefte. U'maisla b'agoz l'eitzim. Ein mechal na Madbeya Sheni Yoitze. You can't use a Madbeya which is not accepted. What does it mean? If it's not accepted, it's not accepted. So what does that mean? Ketzad, als the moyes of a currency is not acceptable, but everything has a value. In other words, this may not be no longer accepted in currency. Let's say the penny. They disallow the pennies now to be in circulation, right? But the penny is copper. So it has some value to it. It may not have the value of a penny anymore, but it has a value. So he's saying like this: what does it mean? It's nifsal. He had from Bakochwa. He had coins from Bakochwa, which they passed through. When he lost his power, they took away his currencies, Yushalmi, and he still has those coins. From the previous king, the previous governments. So the Mishnah tells us he can't use it at all. This goes a little bit of Chachamim. That says the kesef shein by tzura. What does it mean by tzura? Tzura means it has a tzura. It was nifsal. So interesting. He learns that kesef shein by tzura means it has to be a tzura which is accepted by the government. If it's no longer in circulation, it's not acceptable. It's considered kesef shein by tzura. But tzata kesef biyodcha. What do you mean? This has a tzura. It was used before Bar Kokhba lost his power. He had coins with tzuras that were acceptable. Now that it's no longer acceptable, so the tzura becomes nifsal. In other words, the tzura is no shken tzura. Tzura means it has a tzura from currency that's acceptable by the government. It's no longer acceptable. That's very interesting. But Tama, the habit kesef she'ein boy tzura, because now it's not yoytze, it's not in circulation. V'giriyim inei, the bahani ikis akona. So this particular case, by Kochba, when he was no longer in power, so the Romans wanted to destroy him, and they said he can't use his currency. Anybody uses his currency is in trouble with criminally. So that's a sakona. The bahani yika sakona, basim like a sakona. So this is the key to why this Mishnah is not a stira to the Yankiv Bazivdi b'shem Rabavu. He's saying that the mois the skinim, you could use it. It has a value. Why it has a value? It's my beish and yoytze. Zuk the I mean, he's not pointing it out directly, but you see the way he learns shot, because when he's talking about the Mishnah Sheni Yoytze, there's a sakona. That's what he throws in it. Tama davakeshem b'tzu v'gri minei d'hani ika sakona. About it's already a sakona. That already tells me, okay, you can't use this because people won't touch it. Because how he knows this Weissachnish, but that's how he learns shot. Let's see here a minute here. How does the Pemoish learn? I'm sorry, the next one. It has to be a madbeya that he's talking about, that you can't use it at all. It's not acceptable at that time and in that place. Sometimes it has acceptance, but not here, someplace else. The siv and sata kesef b'chol hashetav v'nafshecho prat b'chol hashetav v'nafshecho prat lezeh she'ein yoytze. This pasuk that says v'sata kesef b'chol hashetav v'nafshecho is telling me that if it's not yoytze, sata kesef means it has to be kesef yoytze. You should be able to use this money to buy things with it, to purchase things. That's nasata kesef. That means yoytze. Prat lezeh she'ein yoytze, because it's moist that the government says you're not allowed to use it, and if you use it, he doesn't say the word sakon here. He says it's nifsal. So later, we'll see later how the Pnei Moshe is going to learn Pshat in the moist Disdinas. But if you go with the Rasharilla, it's the Kishmak, because he says it's sakona, and that's how you reconcile that moist Disdinas, that it is acceptable to use for it, and here he says in the Mishnah that moist she'ein yoytze is not acceptable. The Rav Fulda learns v'loya mabeh she'ein yoytze bless keta the siv nesata kesef b'chol hashetav v'nafshecho prat lekesef she'ein yoytze she'ein yochel liktens mimenu mashu roitze. So according to Rav Fulda, it's also very good, because he's saying here you can't use this kesef. It's hard to understand. What do you mean v'loya mabeh she'ein yoytze? If it's not yoytze at all, if you can't use it to buy anything, so why does the Mishnah have to tell me that? If you can't, you take the money and you take the pays and you want to redeem the pays with the money and then take it to Yerushalmi, but if it's not yoytze, it's not acceptable by anybody. How you doing this? It doesn't work. What do you need a mission to tell me that? That if you use something which is not acceptable anywhere, you're not going to be able to use this. So what's the chiddush? If you learn like the Rashi is very good, he says it's usable. Everybody knows it's a black market, and there's a sakana to use it. But here he's saying that according to Miraful, it's ain't a yoitze, you can't use it because it's not acceptable. So it's not acceptable. What's my mishnah for them? Look here, please, in the Kuti Mishnah Yisrael, from the going here on the left side, Aleph and Aleph, on the left side, he says like this: Moshe and Yosef, meaning the Gemara, this Gemara in Bava Kama, Hamabas Chaveda Hamadbeya, Menifsala Hamadbeya. He loaned him a certain coin, certain money, and that money now is out of currency. So shiny Ma'aser the Siv is Hata Kesa Biyotcha, Shihei Motzi Biyotcha. There, if you gave him money, so you have to replace it with other money. There's no had to not to pay back because that money is nifsal, and you're going to tell the malva, listen, it's your problem. You gave me something, and it's no longer acceptable. So the loss is on you. Like you don't say, but here it says Sata Kesef Yotcha Sheitova Motza Biyotcha Umash Mesham Dafilu I have a boy, have a shokli Aideat Chag Nami Mechalon. He's saying that even though it's Aideh Chak, you could use it someplace, and still you can't be Makabel. Okay. Let's learn that the Gemara Navov. Look the Gemara Navov on this Mishnah. V'lai Amoyes V'lai Amabei Sheni Yoyse, V'lai Amoyes Sheni B'Shusay. Tony. Ein Mechal Noisay, V'lai Amoyes Sheheim B'Bovel, V'lai Amoyes She B'Bovel. Ken. Again, this is the way the Yishami is written. That it's almost, without the Mufashim, it's almost impossible to understand what the Gemara means. What's mine? Let's go with the Rashi. Look at the Rashi on the right side, and 2 lines from the bottom. Lo Moshe b'Bovel kan, k'dem Mefarish. The Gemara is going to explain. He sho'omed b'Yerushalayim. This person who wants to make this chilul, he's in Yerushalayim. V'yesh lo Moshe b'Bovel. Yesh lo moyes bovel, and he has money in Yerushalayim, bovel, money from Persia. Because the money of bovel, which he has in Yerushalayim, is not acceptable in Eretz Yisrael. Lav pidginu. This doesn't qualify for pidgin because that kesef hayoytze. Here it's not acceptable. It's acceptable in the rest of the world. That's not enough. Ulemute shel bovel b'bovel. If he has money and he's in bovel, he wants to make the pidgin in bovel. Even though it's not acceptable as you saw, even the mokim chilul, the place where he is, hapeda is yoytzen, in bovel it's acceptable. Hamoyis afagav the Beit Yisrael ain't yoytzim, even though in Eretz Yisrael you can't use this money, they're not accepted. Umalchias makbidois. And the government is makbid not to use currency from a different country. We say it's a chilul. Why? Because where he's paid it, it's acceptable. So you go bossa the place where you make the pidgin. The zovin behu behema. He went down and he used the money, bought the behema, and the behema walked to Yerushalayim. Masik to Yerushalayim, brings it up to Yerushalayim. Afal gaf. Even though the Katchila says, the Gemara says that you're not supposed to be mechalel on a behema. It's not a kesef hayoytze. It should be on peiros. Even to be able to rabbanon have a chilul. Moyes hayoytze cheshiva. This is considered moyes hayoytze. Money sata kesef means that the money has to be moyes hayoytze. Inami even the efshir binyan acha. Because you can take this money from Bovel to Yerushalayim, it's good as red. You can't use it in Yerushalayim. So he has no choice. He has the money. This is the money that he has, and this is what he wants to be paid with. So he's allowed to be paid in Bovel on a behema and bring it to Yerushalayim. Sure, the mizmu behema the kulam. Everybody holds he could do it. He has no eitzah, you could do it. So that's the taish of the Gemara. The Gemara says, Tony, we learned, meaning in Yerushalayim you can't use the money of Bovel. And the money of Bovel here you can't use it, but the money is in Bovel, and you're in bubble, then you can use. Lo al moed she came bubble, ba'oimid bubble. This yo. The Gemara goes weiter. Lo al moed she bubble can be oimid can. Can meaning he's in Eretz Yisrael, then he can't use it. But if he's in bubble, he could use it. Hoy lo moed mi bubble le bubble vi oimid can. Name it. Name it means like we have in the Bible. Name it. We should say. If there's a way to go from one place to the other way, from city to city, country to country, then he can use it, even though he's not in the place where it's acceptable. What's the title of this Gemara? There's two conditions. Shamoy is Haim Madbeya Bovel. The condition is that the payers was, the money was money from Bovel. But paid is Bebobel. The Ein Akan, he's not in Yerushalayim. But by them, going to be Yerushalayim, Be'etz Yisrael. So he says like this: if there was an easy connection, there's a Uber connection, easy passage, then you could do it. But Tavu came, meaning Tavu kan. Even though it's not a Mabeya Yoitzehu, but we say there, Pesuchas, then you could use it, that's considered Moise Yoitzehu. At least according to Ras Sarilla, the pshat is, why does this work? Because it's Moise Yoitzehu. It's easy, it goes from one country to the other country, you could transport it from one place to the other place, that's considered Moise Yoitzehu. Oma Rabovin, Kol HaMebeis HaYoitzehu B'Yishlayim. Rabovin comes to say, Yerushalayim was an international city. All money was used in acceptable in Yerushalayim because the Gemara says someplace here later, people came to Yerushalayim from all over the world, so they had all kinds of different currencies, so it was acceptable, all the currencies in Yerushalayim. So Kol HaMebeis HaYoitzehu B'Yishlayim, Mipnei Kain, Hashem Yifei Nois B'Sois Kol Ha'oz, and that's the reason why we say in Yerushalayim it's all acceptable. So when we talk about different Madbeyas, you have to have conditions to them. Has to be derech pesuchas, a way to go from here to there, that it should be a Moise Yoitze, and if not, so that is not a problem in Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim, everything is acceptable. Dr. Rasila, Kol HaMebeis HaYoitze B'Yerushalayim, Going Bizman, when do we say this? Shiyad Yisrael, Tkufa Umas Ha'olam. That's when Yisrael is in power. When do we say before, a couple lines before? We say that what? He's Oimid Khan. Khan means he's in Eretz Yisrael, and he has money from Babel, is Ein Mechalin. Why can't you use it? I Yerushalayim Kol Meis Yoitzes. He said, man, Shiyad Umas to Kufa al Atzmon, meaning that the Klal Yisrael is not in power, they're not in charge of the government in Eretz Yisrael. So then we say Ein Mechalin. Why is Ein Mechalin? Because when do we say Kol HaMois Yoitzehu B'Yerushalayim? That's Hanimili when we're in charge. But if we're not in charge, Yad Umas are in charge, then we don't apply this. So this is something that has to be understood, because if the Mabey is Yoitze, the government allows it to go. And if it doesn't allow it to be used, doesn't allow it to be used. So it's totally in the Moise Yoitze, in the conditions of the government, which is now running Eretz Yisrael. But you say, Kol Mabey is Yoitze B'Yerushalayim. Why? Because it happened to be, this is an international city. Everybody's coming here from all over the world, and there's a lot of people there, so the commerce is conducted in different currencies. In New York, you don't find it. You have only one currency. You go to Europe, you have many different currencies that are used, because you have a lot of people from different places. It's like a EU. It's all over the place. People, so mainly they have, till now they made the euro. But before that, this currency, that currency, it was very common to go into a money changer. On every block, you had a money changer. So here, that's similar to Yerushalayim, because Skip mentioned from the ganze Welt, you pay noise besides colors. That's the condition. But now he's saying, you're going bizman, Sheyad Yisod Tkufa Alumas Ha'olam. Yitani Liela Shel Babu Hu Eimed Kan Ein Mechalin. Why Ein Mechalin? If it's Yoitze, it's Yoitze. What do you have to tell me? It's bubble. To here, it's not Yoitze because it's bubble, and we're not going to allow you to use it here. Why not? If it's acceptable, it's acceptable. You know why I'm not allowing you to accept it? Because it's not Yad Yisrael Tkufa. The Yad Yisrael is not in charge. What do I care who's in charge? I care that it should be a Yotzin. If it's Yotzin, it's Yotzin. That's for Shteich now. Okay, a lot of things I don't understand with this Gemara, but that is okay. Let's look here. Just it's a little late, but let's look here to be Agro. Diskin is, and Mitzvah next week we'll learn the play motion. Diskin is Shel Ezu Melech. Azai kishemechal aleim einoi choshev rak moish mekabel hashuchani. You only have to value it according to what the money changes value. When now you're coming to Yerushalmi, you take the shulchan wherever you are in Tveria. Now you come to Yerushalmi and you want to spend the money. So what value are you going to use? And you use the value, not what they're going to give you now in Yerushalmi. That's similar to what the Rashi said. Even though the value here in Yerushalmi could be a lot more, you only have to use the value that you ascribed to this pigeon when you did the pigeon in Tveria. Tony, pigeon might be bubble. If he's standing above, Yeshli Mois Etz Yisrael, and he has with him money from Etz Yisrael, and he's in Bavel, Bavel, ain't the Yotzin, is a Mechal. If he has money from Bavel, and Bavel they're not accepting the money, you have to go according to what the government says about the money that you want to use. V'chein lehepech, Moimed Kan Beit Yisrael, Yeshli Mois Bavel, ain't Mechal. Hoyu Avel, Im Moimed Beit Yisrael, but Mois ain't Kan, he's in Etz Yisrael. But he doesn't have the money here. He wants to use the money he has someplace else. Rakheim menuchim bebavel, heim menuchim mois hayosi bebavel, ein hadin kain. And we don't allow it. So in other words, he doesn't say what you do. So this is we'll have to see in Mitzvah next week how you apply it. Im hoise derech besucha. Now another condition he wants to say is kloimer. Sheyochel lo shom bi'atzmei b'li shum achrayis. I don't know what that means. I think in Yoises, it was in Hoyse Derech Besucha. The Gemara says Mechala means there was a way to go, easy way to go. I use like it's an Uber. You just go and you can pick up and go. And if it's not Besuchas, then this emergency doesn't have a value. Amar Avavin, Mishum Bechol Mokem Shuhu. You have to use the money for your place where you are. He's answering what we just asked before. We asked before, what do you have to have that Yad Yisrael Tkuf Aleim? Not the reason, because in Yerushalayim people come from the whole world and automatically people use currency from all over the world because you have different nationalities and different monies floating around. So the merchants, they use all kinds of money. Otherwise, you can't use it. It's an international city. That's not the pshat. He's saying there was a takana in Yerushalayim to use the money from all over. And who makes the takana? The Yidden. The Kol Zman, the Tkufah Aleim, they make the currency, they make the rules. So they say, L'chein hoisa takana she kol hamoyes sheboilim yotzes b'Yerushalayim. That was takana. Who made the takana? Yisrael made this takana. So Kol Zman, the Tkufah Aleim, this takana is applicable. I want to say Rabbi Sabot on Shabbos that we spoke about. It's a chiddush. It's a big chiddush, but ich will sagen, b'chamayim is dus a pshat. We talked about a couple of times already about kedusha Shabbos, kedusha v'kaima. So kedusha v'kaima, we mentioned the Tzodik Kasha. It's kedusha memele. What's shayach kiddush b'chlal? So the Tzodik, in his it's almost a ganze kuntus on Shabbos. He said there that it's Taisa Shabbos. You mekadosh Shabbos. That's why the choy pshat is that you mekadosh with Tchilas Hayom because it's Taisa Shabbos. This is what you're adding to the Shabbos. The Shabbos it comes with this man. The Shabbos by itself. You make the kiddush. That's mekadosh the kedusha Shabbos. So there's a din by Bechor. By Bechor do a din that mitzvah. This is the Rambam Perik Aleph Halacha Daled. But Bechor is mitzvah lahagdish Bechor behemet tohira v'yoyim harei kodesh shenem tagdish Hashem lekecha. She magdish the Bechor. Okay, it tells you have to magdish the Bechor. V'im lo hikdishay. If you want mekadosh it, harei ze miskadosh me'elo b'kdishtos merechenu. That's the thing. It's a shvera halacha. The ganze Torah Welt is busy understanding what does it mean that you have to be mekadosh the b'choyev. The b'choyev is already kodesh mirechem by itself.